This is Jordan Edwards, and this is the Business Jiu-Jitsu Podcast.
All right, I'm here with Arthur Abrams. Arthur is a jeweler. He's a jiu-jitsu black belt. He's a longtime martial artist, a great personality on Instagram to follow. You trade in an exciting world in fine jewelry and watches and diamonds, and you're outspoken advocate for our sport. I'm very excited to talk to you for a variety of reasons, but one of the reasons I really reached out to you originally was because you're not shy about your feelings on what it takes to be a business person and a small business person in this current craziness and in New York. And people don't speak up enough about what it takes to start a business. So before we get too far ahead of ourselves, just give me a little background on who you are and how you came to be.
Growing up in Queens, New York, went to St. John's, graduated St. John's University, been doing martial arts pretty much my whole life. Started out wrestling when I was a little boy, wrestled for a while. We did Greco-Roman wrestling, so like a lot of upper body, clinch work, stuff like that. Translates pretty well into like tie-ups and Muay Thai and stuff like that. Then I transitioned to karate, watching all these Van Damme movies growing up, the Bruce Lee, the Van Damme. Yeah. My mom to sign me up to karate. I was pretty committed to karate for a long time. Eventually transitioning because of one of my coaches, the coach that I used to have, the sensei that I used to have, he moved away and the school got shut down. So I stopped for a couple of years, and then I found a Taekwondo instructor that was really kind of instrumental in my life. Growing up in Queens, you can run into some pretty sketchy situations, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you I was like, but it could have went the other way for me. Honestly, it could have. A lot of the friends that I had were not, they weren't really thinking too much at the time. They were doing stupid stuff, not drugs or anything, but more like other things.
Getting in trouble.
Other schemes, yeah. So went to St. John's. Used to compete for the St. John's Taekwondo team.
Nice.
It was good. And saw kind of like the Taekwondo thing kind of ran its course for me. Competed for a bunch of years, kind of fed up with the rule set, started looking into different martial arts, and found an old UFC tape, like it was in the wrestling section in the video store. Remember the video store?
Yeah.
We used to have those on pretty much like in every neighborhood. I used to have a video store not too far away from my house.
Yeah.
So after training a lot of times, like just to go unwind, because I used to train like Taekwondo, karate, I used to train 4 or 5 hours a day. So I was pretty committed.
Yeah.
High level competitor, won some things, pretty good things. And, training, and then went to the video store to get the VHS we used to have, right? So I get this UFC. I'm like, what the hell is this crap? I was like, get the UFC, put it in, and I'm watching one of the UFCs, and I actually fell asleep watching it. And then all of a sudden on my TV, it's like, oh my God, he won! Oh, I'm like, what did he do? How did he win? Like what happened? So I have rewound it. And I saw him hoist. This is Renzo Gracie I'm talking about. I saw him throw which I had no idea was a triangle choke. All right, so I see him throw a triangle choke on somebody, and I'm like, what the hell did he do? How did he do? I'm all confused. So the internet was kind of weak back then. Remember, couldn't really get any information out. So I type in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I find Renzo, which I thought was called Renzo Gracie, right? Because not being familiar with Brazilians and their culture at all. So, found Renzo Gracie, walked down to the academy, see them in pajamas rolling around. I'm like, what the hell is this crap? I'm not doing this. This is not for me. And started, looked at it. I actually fell asleep because I was a party kid, right? So I go out the night before, go to work, go train, go here, go there, right? So I fell asleep watching these guys roll. So the guy comes up to me. His name is Magno Gama. He's a Renzo black belt, has his own academy in Astoria now.
Yeah.
Really good guy. He comes up to me. He's like, "Hey, you like this?" He just woke me up basically. I fell asleep on the bench at Renzo's. He's like, "You like this?" I'm like, "I don't know." He's like, "You want to try?" He brings me a gi. I put on the gi. He's like, "You're not allowed to punch, right? You did martial arts before?" I'm like, "Yeah, I did some wrestling. I did some karate. I mean, whatever." He's like, "You're not allowed to punch, but just like wrestle with the guy, grapple with the guy, see if he could, if he could get you in a choke." And I don't know when he chokes. I just know how to hold you. I just know how to hold you, and I know how to headlock you. I don't know anything else. So I end up they gave me some little kid, some small, probably like 130-pound kid, a blue belt. He gets me in a collar choke from the back. Gets me a collar choke from the back. I'm like, what the hell did he do to me, man? Sign me up. Let's go. I was there twice a week. I was there morning and night, twice a week for 6 days a week after that.
Wow.
This was back in 2005 I started.
Wow.
So it was early on. It was different back then. All the belts trained together. And if you survived, that really, because we didn't train white belt, and brown belt, or whatever it was. It was white belt. You're like a fresh meat, Renzo calls it,
Yeah.
Put you on, and the retention rate, honestly, back then was really bad because a lot of students would come in, and like me, I was you could say a little tougher because I had prior martial arts experience, and most guys that trained had prior martial arts experience, and they, that's why they were able to kind of like weather the storm.
Yeah.
Right, weather the storm, because a lot of guys that came in like had no experience, man, they would get destroyed and they would leave. They were there for 2 lessons, and that was the wrap. And then when they separated the white belts, gave white belts a chance to kind of like get some skills, learn, grow a skill set, and then they put the blue belts and everyone else together. They kind of like let the white belts live, and that's why the retention rate became higher. And you guys actually, the white belts started learning better too, because you're going against the first day I was going against purple belts and brown belts, and I was like, what the hell are these guys doing to me? Like I had no idea, And back then also, it was really popular to wear the Valley Tudo shorts when you're grappling no gi.
Yeah.
Imagine some of these Brazilians with the Valley Tudo shorts, in north-south position, and you're like stuck underneath, and you're like, holy crap, what the hell am I doing here? These thoughts come in, they set into your mind, and you're like, wow, like I can't believe I'm actually doing this. If I tell my friends, what the hell are you going to think about me? Why am I going here to get beat up with these guys, with their hairy legs in my, in my face and stuff like that. But it was fun, man. It was different.
Those are classic, incredible stories of that time and the formation of Renzo's. That was around the time that my professor, my sensei, Nardu Debra. Do you know Nardu either by name or face? And Matt Serra were training, and the guy that introduced me to jiu-jitsu originally, his name is Professor Lou Levine. He was training back then. He was like, he doesn't train any longer. He's older. He's one of my dad's friends. Right. But those stories are just incredible.
Just to give you a perspective, when I started training in jiu-jitsu, Renzo Gracie was a blue belt. Yeah. Renzo Gracie was a blue belt. I think Igor was a brown belt. I think the Black Rob was like a purple belt. Jamal Patterson was a purple belt, maybe even a blue belt. Mark Cerrone was not a black belt. None of these guys had black belts. So it's been a while. I know that Matt just got promoted, which was like a huge thing. That's when I started training. I used to train with Sean Williams.
I've been out to his academy many times over the years.
Awesome. He's
like my sensei sent me when I.
He's awesome. Sean Williams. And Renzo used to teach. Renzo used to come to class. Class would start, let's say, 6 o'clock. Renzo shows up at 6:30, and then we're there till about 10:30 at night, playing backgammon after class. From my Middle Eastern kind of like, influences. We played. He's still better than me. I don't disagree with you on that part. In backgammon too. By the way, he's really good. He's a really good backgammon player, which is pretty scary. Like at least. That, let me have that. No, not even backgammon. Yeah.
He's a winner.
He's a winner everywhere he goes. And anytime he comes to me about watches, he already knows everything about the watch. Like he knows everything. Oh, this is this is that, this is that, this is that. He knows all the names, all the brands.
My screen. I'm going to read this story, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
It says, I was making $80 a day in 2005 when I signed up to the Renzo Gracie Academy. I started training and loved it, but shortly after lost my $80 a day job. I came to Renzo devastated because I had to quit training. So before I quit, I asked Renzo if I could pay him back for the training when I get another job. He tells me to come, and when you make the money, you'll pay me back. He asked me for what job I had. I answered, I sell watches and jewelry. After a few months, I got another job, but my goal was to open a place of my own. So about a year after, in 2006, I opened a small place in the Diamond District. One of my first customers was Renzo. He also put in a good word for me with the rest of the guys looking for watches and diamonds. Never did I expect this to happen walking into that building all those years ago. Thank you, Master Renzo Gracie Academy, for everything you did for the Academy and for us. I mean, does this say it all about Renzo?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, that story, when I saw that on your chat, on your Instagram, I just got full body chills.
It's facts, man. It's 100% factual. None of it is made up. And he still, he still helps everyone out, everyone he can out, especially if you're, to him, everyone's a good guy, even if they're not the best guy. But, he still tries to help everyone out, and he still puts in a good word for everybody out there, and if you're a good person, and you could definitely rely on Renzo for your help. He'll always be there for you. He'll always put in a good word for you, and he has for me. He opened the doors for me in many ways. So initially, I don't know if you want to get into this now. So I'll tell you. So initially, I graduated St. John's. I was supposed to go to law school. So while I was studying for my LSATs, my cousin, who was in a pretty bad car accident, broke his leg, broke his arm. So he's a pretty bad car accident. He needed help running his shop. He has a shop in the Diamond District, pretty well known, pretty big, a lot of celebrity stuff. So he asked me, hey, listen, can you come by while you're studying for your stuff, while you're studying for your LSATs, come by and help me out, because I can't do many things, broken leg, broken arm, he can't get around, drop off pickups and stuff like that, go to the bank. And I'm like, yeah, sure, So he gave me, a runner's job, I don't know anything. I'm not supposed to be there for too long, So you know how it is sometimes working with family. After a while, man, they're like, man, I'm like, it was good. It was good. It let me grow, but it was also tough. It was also tough, not getting your fair shake, I was a college graduate, being dumbed down, it's like a lot of things it's first of all, it was a new business for me, so then later on I took the LSATs. Did pretty well enough to get into a few schools on the East Coast, by the house, Hofstra and, New York Law and all those. And, I'm thinking, looking at the law school tuitions, I'm thinking, man, should I go? I wasn't really passionate about it. But what I was passionate about was watches. I really loved watches way before I even started working in the business. I loved in the jewelry business. I really loved watches.
What was it about the watches? Why?
I don't know. I just always had a fascination about watches. It came. So I used to be a fan of the show called Renegade. I don't know if you know that show. It was this guy, Ricardo, I think his name is Lamas or something like that. Mm-hmm. So I used to wear the Swiss Army watch, a $80 Swiss Army watch. And I was a kid. I wanted the Swiss Army watch. That was the thing that I wanted for whatever reason. I wanted the Swiss Army watch. And he knew karate and he rode a motorcycle. He was a badass. I was I wanted to be this guy,
Yeah.
And I wanted that Swiss Army watch. So I took my dad to Tourneau on one of my birthdays. I took him to Tourneau, and we couldn't get the Swiss Army watch. So we got a Swatch watch instead, right? It was a $100 Swatch watch or something like that.
Yeah.
I looked after this Swatch watch like nobody's business. I was constantly with the cloth, wiping it and, and taking care of it and making sure it's good. I still have the watch, by the way. My sons won't wear it, but, that's a different story. But but I still have the watch. It's still in good condition still. So some fascination, just an internal fascination with watches. Also at the time I was pretty confused about what I actually wanted to do. So I was actually taking amateur fights. I was doing jiu-jitsu competitions. I was taking amateur Thai fights. I was doing amateur MMA fights and like some rinky-dink places around. Yeah. And they actually gave me, after I did a few matches and a few fights, I did pretty well. They actually gave me like an invitation, not an invitation, but like an offer to, I don't remember. It was like one of the promotions in Atlantic City to fight, MMA. I weighed, I think, walking around at the time, I was about 175 pounds, 178 pounds, something like that. So they wanted me to do 155 or 160, like a catch weight or something like that. But then they told me how much money it was. And I'm like, man, I'm not doing it, man, because it's going to cost me a lot of money to get there. It's going to cost me trainers. I got to pay for this. I got to pay for that. I have no money to pay. Yeah. I'm working I'm making a couple of dollars a day. And yeah. And, that's the kind of, and then I left my cousin's place and we got into it a little bit. I left and I went and started working with somebody else for a little bit. And I'm like, man, it's like everything they do, I could do. I could do anything they do. I'm better than them. I treated the business the business, the watches and the jewelry and stuff like that. I treated it like school because I come from that background. So I would go get books. I would go to Barnes & Noble. I would go get books, and I would literally study these books. A long time ago, we didn't have these, the internet. You don't have all the watch prices listed everywhere. It wasn't like this. You didn't have all that information. Just type it in, and you have all the information there. So we actually had to look at the books and read the books and figure out what millimeter casings are and what this watch does and what that watch does and stuff like that. So I used to have to read the books. And at one point I got so good at, like remembering all the models and stuff like that. And my cousin was like, he didn't really give a crap anymore. He's like, he's an established guy. He's like, Arthur, what's the price on this watch? Oh, $79.50 retail. What's the price on that watch? $57.50 retail. Oh, what's the, on and on and on and on. So he would like refer to me because like I'm constantly sitting there reading and studying and, kind of like, doing that thing with the watches and the jewelry and the diamonds and stuff. Yeah. So.
When you started to master your craft, you had to learn.
Exactly. I treated it like school, because I was from a school setting. Like this is the only way I knew how to do it. I'm not just gonna, for me, I only like to talk about things I've done research on and I know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to tell you and sit there like a lot of times, like, like people sit and they post stuff up of somebody that posted it up. I'm the type of person, I check it first and then I post it up or I repost it or then I talk about it. I'm not just going to tell you something that I have no idea what the hell I'm talking about. And all of a sudden I'm going to start telling you, that's why, really bothers me right now, like today, is what really bothers me is what's going on with the small businesses, especially the restaurant businesses in New York City, Yeah. It really bothers me. It's because I'm going to be going on a flight next Friday coming up. I'm going to be going to Miami. All right. Just a couple of days off. Right. We're going to be sitting in an American Airlines flight to Miami. Everyone's sitting shoulder to shoulder. It's 200 whatever people in the airplane. Okay. You mean to tell me I can't sit away 6 feet away from a person in a restaurant with a plexiglass on and this on and this on, and you check my temperature when I walked in. I wore a mask when I walked in. We use hand sanitizer. We use this. We use that.
I do.
I really don't understand all these things.
Do you think it's corruption or incompetence?
I think it's just incompetence. I really don't think it's corruption. I think the people running the city, I just don't think they know what they're doing, really. And I think that they think that New York, New York can take a lot. New York can take a lot. New Yorkers are tough. New Yorkers are strong. The business guys here are really tough, really strong, really savvy too, really smart. But every situation that you put them in front, every hurdle that they have to get over and another hurdle they have to get over, it just makes it all that harder. And all of a sudden you have a business person that decides, listen, do I really need this headache? I don't need this headache. Most of these people run businesses not because of it's super profitable. It's because they're super passionate about it, and it's because they want to provide a service and they like doing what they do. They love doing what they do, I should say, especially in the restaurant business. These are hospitable people. They want to see, like this brings them joy. Some of these people, like I listen a lot to Barstool, Dave Portnoy.
Portnoy is unbelievable.
He's a good dude, man. I actually ran into him a few times in the city. Always been like, he actually wanted to hang out once, but I was like, man, I gotta go. But he's a good dude. What he's doing right now for the restaurant businesses are amazing. Getting them the proper funding they need, to get to, because we have so many obstacles. Weather's crap. You're no tourists in the city, right? You have all these restrictions placed on them. These people built out those housing things that they did in front of the restaurants. They had to run electricity there. They had to do this. They had to do that. Plus, you have the health department. Then you have the sanitation department. You have the this. You have the that. How many obstacles can you put on these people?
It's true. And before we even got here, we already had 30% retail vacancy. So you and I, we both are small business owners in New York City. I have a store on the Upper East Side. I have 12 stores. One of them's in the city. And I always say your average business person graduated from college, worked for a few years. Now they saved up a couple bucks. They want to open a business. How many obstacles are you going to put in their place to open a store, a small restaurant, a bodega? How many permits? How do you have to file? If you make it so complicated,
it's hard.
You're going to have no businesses. And now we have more than 50% retail vacancy in New York City. You can't walk down a single block in all of Manhattan without seeing at least half of the stores empty. And you know what? I don't want to live in a world where the only food you could eat is Chipotle, sweet Korean, chopped. I mean, I want to go and get a salad from, Arthur's cousin or from Jordan's cousin.
Right.
I want to be able to open stores and run businesses. And the typical government answer is, let's put more regulations, more taxes. We need to tax this person. There's going to be no one left to tax.
Nobody.
You're gone.
They're gone. All those guys are going to end up running to places where it's, better for them. The environment's better for opening businesses like Texas and Florida. These places are doing really, really good. They're really doing good. My brother just came back from Florida. He's saying everything is open. Everything is great. They make you wear masks in, out, inside. You guys are at your table. You guys do whatever you want to do. Try to stay like 6 feet apart from everybody. And that's it. You can't, this is, if the people are scared, my opinion is if you're really scared for your life, and I'm not saying that Corona, I had it, by the way.
Yeah.
If you're really scared for your life, if you really, have pre-existing health conditions, stay home. Nobody's telling you to go out. It's just an option that people should have is to go out. What the guy what the governor, what's his name, is doing in California is Newsom.
Gavin Newsom.
That's insane. It's insane. Driving and. What's happening in New York? You probably read the news and follow all that stuff too. What do you call them, guys? Goldman Sachs. They want to move to Florida.
Oh yeah, everyone's leaving.
They want to move to Florida. You know how much taxable income that is gonna go to Florida? Where's the government gonna come up with the taxes? And I explain this to people all the time.
Yeah.
The top 1% covers for the bottom part of the guys. Yeah, the middle class. And now the middle class is getting demolished because the restaurant businesses are getting demolished. So a lot of these middle class guys who can afford to actually leave, they'll actually leave somewhere else. Or you'll have the guys that were on the border, they were middle class on the border of being middle class and being on the lower class. They'll actually come down to the lower class and they'll be a dependent also, not a provider. They'll be a dependent. So these kind of things are like mind-boggling to me, is like how these people in power in office expect these restaurants and all these other small businesses to cover. I was in my building while you were talking. I actually remember this, and I remembered it again. In my building, the building that I am now, the management company during Corona defaulted.
What's the name of the company?
REEC, Real Estate Equities something. So they defaulted. Okay. So we had a contract with them. Okay. I have two spaces. So I have an office and I have a retail store, and I have two spaces. They defaulted. So now we're dealing direct. We had a deal in place with them. Okay. We had a deal in place with them. Now they defaulted. Our deal is nullified because we were renting. They were the master tenant, it's called. So now our deal is nullified. So now we're discussing with the landlord who put in place like a representative for her or whatever. We're discussing with her, and she's in Greece hanging out. She's having a good time. She put up the building for sale, first of all. Not a great time to sell the building. Not a lot of buyers out there, I'm sure, especially, a building on Fifth Avenue, it's like, so she had a few offers. She's not accepting the offers. But anyway, it's a tough situation everywhere you go, like my exchange, like the exchange level, we have like, different booths set up. Each business rents a booth out. Right before Corona was packed, 95% capacity. It's probably at 50 now. Probably.
Yeah.
They're probably at 50 now, and half the guys are just barely there. They're like, they're still, confused if they're going to stay or they're not going to stay. Me, I want to stay. But if they're going to end up selling the building, and the guy next door to us, they just took down a bunch of buildings. So the guy next door to us is going to probably wants to build a huge tower, like a huge tower. He took over the whole building. She's the last building left, right on the corner. She's trying to stay strong. She's trying to fight. Who knows? It's like tax time comes around. These buildings. I think this building alone is like 2.5 million a year in taxes. Like like if you have no tenants in the building, how are you going to generate $2.5 million in taxes? You're not.
It's a crazy cycle. So talk about your resiliency through this. What have you done to, continue to make it happen? Why are you going to stay?
I'm trying to stay. So I was looking at a few places. So during Corona, we found out that, the management company defaulted during like dead Corona. We're like, oh man, another problem, right? And so we started calling up some of these places around, not to move too far this way, too far that way, stay in the same area. We have clientele. I've been in business since 2006. So I kind of, I need to be here. A lot of people are familiar with me. Calling some of these people up, they have no idea. They're still asking $80 a foot and $75 a foot. I'm like, no, these are pre-Corona prices you're asking for. Now you got to give me post-Corona prices. Let's go. Let's get the ball rolling. So I found a few places. So I was calling one building, which was pretty funny. I called the building up, and the guy was pretty rude, like pretty, aggressive guy, pretty rude. Call him up, and he's like, "Oh, I don't need this and that." I'm like, "Okay, no problem." So when I was checking online and on his website of how many spaces he had available, it was basically 2 floors available. Okay, and I made him an offer. I'm like, "Yeah, think about it. Get back to me." I'm just checking it around for now. Calls me up about a month later. He's like, the offer you gave me, is that still valid? I'm like, well, you kind of caught me off guard. I mean, I don't know. Let me get back to you. I go back on his website. Remember I told you 2 floors available?
Yeah.
Floors available on his website. Yeah. So now he's struggling. So now he's looking to pick up a couple of tenants here and a couple of tenants there.
Yeah.
So actually the hard ass he's not a hard ass anymore because of the financial situation, right? So you have, that's why, again, another thing about jiu-jitsu, right? The guys that are really tough, on the mats and in the ring and all that stuff, they're actually really nice guys. They're not hard asses, they're not like this guy. This guy's, this guy thinks he is who he is because he has probably a little bit of money passed down from his dad. And that's it. And he thinks he could sit there and dictate and be nasty to people and be, just one of those nasty guys.
Yeah.
And, he calls me up. I'm like, oh, so now you want to talk, right? So after I saw that he had 8 floors available, okay?
Yeah.
So now he wants to talk. Now we're still talking, but now he's nice. Now he's nice, now he's much nicer.
So let me, you bring up a good point, something I'm going to be writing about in this book. Jiu-jitsu, this part of your life, it's taught you so much. You encounter another martial artist, maybe who's in the business world, or you encounter someone like this who's clearly not a martial artist. Is this negotiating with this kind of guy? Do you see through him like a first day white belt? Like, how is jiu-jitsu helping you navigate the business world?
So I think jiu-jitsu or martial arts in general, right? But, you know, like we have our structure, right? We have the black belts at the top, the brown belts, and so on and so forth. So these guys that are always walking around with their chest, you know, puffed out and throwing big money everywhere, you know, we see through that. People that train martial arts, and you look at a person and you see through that. And for me, like, I always looked at Renzo, you know, and even guys like Georges St. Pierre and stuff like that, like you run into him and super humble, you know, really nice, really, you know, like, but honestly, all these guys are that way, yes, but I think a lot of the guys, even if they're not as humble or not as, you know, not as welcoming, they become welcoming when they meet Renzo. They do.
Definitely.
For me, a lot of these guys might have been whoever they were. Maybe they're good, maybe they're bad, maybe they're kind of like arrogant sometimes. But once they meet Renzo and they see who Renzo is this legendary guy, right? Everyone, we all know, okay? But a lot of guys that are not so legendary, but they're legendary in their own little community, or they're in a little town, you know, and then they meet Renzo and they see how he is. Hey, my man, how are you? My brother, how's it? Come, let's take a picture. Let's do this. Let's do that. Talking to them like he knows them for 100 years and stuff like that.
Yep.
Right away, they see, man, what am I doing, man? This guy, living legend, fought everywhere in the world, you know, so humble. Me, I have 5 jiu-jitsu matches that I lost, and I'm not humble. You know, and I'm a black belt, but I suck. You know, like, you know, this guy's actually good. You know, he's humble, and that's where it all comes from. It's lead by example, right?
Yep.
Definitely leads by example. Like take all of our guys. You know, I could say pretty much all of our guys. You know, besides the like little run-ins here and there, but most of the guys are humble. Like we, you know, even like we're Renzo Gracie, but like when Edwin Najmi comes over, he's got open doors with us, you know. When Homolo Baral was there, you know, because we have the connection between, right? So Gracie Baja, Draculino, and you have Renzo. You know, Renzo and Draculino used to train together. These are all Draculino's guys. Even though the Gracie Baja, they're still kind of like friends, and everyone's like, you know, the occasional little thing here or there. That's just because of the competitive nature of the person, you know. Yeah. But they're not walking around with their chest puffed out, you know, all the time. Like everyone wants to be the best, right? Everyone, especially it's a tight, you know, at the top it's crowded, you know. So everyone wants to be the best. But what I'm saying is these guys that are walking around with their chest puffed out and this and that, like, man, those guys, don't even worry about that guy. I don't even.
What about the guys in business? You know, like, do you see these guys and you know it as a black belt and someone who's been in business since 2006, your own business, like you see this dude, this landlord, and now he's calling you back. I mean, so do you feel the jiu-jitsu?
So when I go into anywhere, I like to do a little prep, right? So I did some research about that guy's building. I did some research about his family-owned business, right? It's family-owned business. I know exactly who he is. I know how exactly he got his money. I knew a lot of things before I went in there. I already prepped myself. So I knew this guy is going to be this guy just based on the thing that around him, you know, like the way he came about. His dad was probably a different person. He's probably a different person because of his dad and because of, you know, stuff was handed to him and he thinks, you know, the world old, you know, like he's, you know, God's gift to people and stuff like that. So I go in, I usually prep myself, right? I usually, you know, do a little research, read a little bit, study the opponent, right? So you got to study the opponent. So I study the opponent. And then you make the deal, make the pitch, and then you go back and forth. I know the deal. I've been around. I'm 39, thank God. I've been around. I know the deal. And a lot of these guys are tougher than they are. They want to be tougher than they are, but they're raw, and that's it. They think that you're so small business guys, especially in the jewelry business, we get a bad rap because they also think that, oh, he's in the jewelry business. They're like, uneducated, doesn't understand, didn't go to college and stuff like that. And then when they meet you and you're well-spoken and you went to college and you did this and you did that, they're like, oh, really? Wow, I didn't think that, And by the way, one thing about the jewelry business, which I love really, I actually love, right? Just like jiu-jitsu, right? So God forbid, right? I got to pick up and go anywhere else in the world. I can go to Argentina. I could go to Hong Kong. I could go to Brazil, anywhere in the world. I could be in Iceland, right? And I could sell watches and I could teach jiu-jitsu. Okay.
Wow, you just gave me a full chills moment. I mean, that is about as beautiful as it gets.
Jiu-jitsu you can't take away from anyone. The fact that you spent those years on the mats learning triangles and arm bars and transitions, you can't take that away. Especially if your teacher is whoever your teacher was and you learned really well underneath your teacher. You're one of his, we have guys in the gym you've never even heard of. Yeah. You roll with those guys. Or those guys will roll with anyone and they'll be on point just as good as those guys are, and that's the difference. Like, and that's what it becomes like for most people. Like, I watch your podcast, a few episodes of them, and most people are obsessed. Like, I was never obsessed with stand-up as much as I was with jiu-jitsu. Okay. I actually got my black belt, and I was like, man, I suck. I'm so bad. I suck. And then you start, you're rolling with this guy, with that guy. There go. Like, in my mind, I should be tapping you 3 times. If you're a brown belt lower than me, I should be tapping you 3 times in a session, 3 to 5. In my mind. But, you obsess over these things. You want to be better. And then you roll with your instructor, and your instructor's like, man, you got good, bro. What's up? I'm like, I'm just angry, man. I'm just really angry. Why are you angry? You're good. What happened? Oh, no, I want to be better. I always want to be better, and that's the obsession with jiu-jitsu. Like, how many round kicks can you throw? Like, how many round kicks? Jiu-jitsu presents like different problems, different solutions every single time. It's not always the same.
Yeah.
So same thing as life, same thing as life. And then, what I love about jiu-jitsu also is like no, religion, no politics, no my background, your background, you're Italian, I'm Jewish, I'm black, you're white, who cares? Like, let's go, brother, we're good. Let's train, let's get a good workout in, and everyone's, I wish the whole world would do jiu-jitsu, the whole world, and everyone would be so much better for it,
My sensei says that all the time. Jiu-jitsu could save the world. You really do have a melting pot of every single socioeconomic class, religion, race, yes. And everyone's on the mat, and everyone's friends, and everyone's sweating together. You got a billionaire next to a teacher, next to a nurse, next to a homeless guy, like literally a guy living on someone else's couch. You don't see it. I don't think you see it in any other martial art, even contact sport. Forget about it, but martial art for sure. You don't see it in any sport. You don't see anyone. When do you ever get to roll with the LeBron James of your sport? When do you ever get to train with LeBron James? When do you ever get to shoot baskets with LeBron James like you do with like a Gordon Ryan in my gym? Yeah. So while you say that, let me pull up another tab. So you put up 2 posts recently. I call it the Instagram. It's like almost like a TV show. Here you are with Gordon. Yeah, it's my buddy. All right, this guy is the tippy top of our sport right now. An amazing promoter of the sport and himself. He's by all accounts, he's an amazing guy as a friend. But he's making our sport exciting, which I think was great. And then here you are with is Holly home?
No, it's Caitlin.
This is
fighter Caitlin Chugakian.
Yeah, and she's and this is these are world championship level people. Right. And like you said, you're rolling with them and hanging with them on a daily basis.
Right. Pretty much every day. And it's just for me, it's a pleasure. Like some of these guys, like, I'm not a professional, right? I train probably like 3 to 4 times a week at best. Jiu-jitsu. I still work out, hit the bag, do all the other stuff, but just jiu-jitsu. It's like, for me, it's like when guys are getting ready for fight camps and they're like, man, are you going to be there? Like, I want to get some rounds in with you. I want to do this with you. I want to see what you, because my thing is like, I'm pretty good at jiu-jitsu. I'm pretty good at jiu-jitsu, but I'm good at combining jiu-jitsu with stand-up, all right? Mm-hmm. My first week at Renzo's, I was sparring with the pro MMA team, and these guys are, because stand-up, they weren't doing too good, so a lot of these guys were shooting in for singles, so doubles and stuff like that, so they were getting, they were getting hit, they were getting kind of angry.
Yeah.
So, like Renzo, there was one time some guy double-legged me. I'm not going to say his name. Some guy double-legged me into a corner of a ring. And Renzo's like, hey, what are you doing? Something in Portuguese, to the guy. And the guy, like basically like saying that don't hurt him. He pays the bills. And, I was like, hey, thank you. Just thank you. I was like a white belt, like no idea what the hell's going to happen. Like, it's going to be bad, like you got double-legged into a corner. You have no idea how to get up. It's going to be bad, So Renzo saved me on that one, But, later on, you get better. So I was going to tell you one thing. So I got, I was pretty high level in karate and Taekwondo. So I come into Renzo's and, it was really informal back then, really informal, right? So it's not like you're training and the instructor is like following your progress along, like it was a big room, just full of crazy sweaty dudes, right? And that one day I was training with some blue belt. I was a white belt. And that one day I triangled that guy, triangle choked him. So after the end of the class, and Renzo, hits me with the belt on the back. Boom, blue belt. I was training for 4 months. I'm thinking to myself, 4 months, I got my blue belt. I'm thinking I'm probably going to be done with this thing in 2 years. I'm thinking 2 years, I'll be a black belt. I'm done with this, because for me, martial arts was like maybe 2 to 5 years. You get your black belt. You kind of, you're good.
You go to your toolkit and then you move on.
You move on and you learn, Muay Thai, boxing, whatever. So I'm 15 years later, I'm still a black belt. I'm still learning, It's still sometimes really humbling, especially you roll against these like world champion guys. Some of these purple belt world champs are like Hiron. We have Renzo Gracie, Renzo's nephew. Freaking kid's amazing, man. Amazing. He's so good. He's so talented. I think he's 19 right now. He's super strong. His press top game's insane, like insane. I remember I was going with him about a year ago. I was like, man, this guy's gonna be a problem. I had him in he had me in he tried to single leg me. I had him in a loop choke. He's just curdling. I'm like, man, this kid's gonna pass out right now. I let him go. He takes my back and almost subs me. I'm like, man, I should have choked him out. I'm like, I should have choked him out. I think he was a blue belt at the time that he was doing. He's a beast. He's gonna be a future champ for sure. His work ethic is really good. And his work ethic, you can have talent, but then you put in the work, and that's when you go to the top.
It was great seeing the whole Renzo Gracie team back on the competition circuit this past 6 months.
Those guys are really good, man. I train with a lot of those guys. A lot of those guys are like really, really good. Like I'm glad to see that Gregor Gracie actually took it, for himself too. Like he took those guys underneath his wing. Gregor is like one of the top talents that I've ever rolled with ever on the mat. Like jiu-jitsu is so effortless for this guy. Like, I don't care. Like, I've rolled with guys that trained, just as long as he has. The level, just the talent wise, his level has always been like phenomenal, like, it's just God given, I think. Like his talent, super talented, man. Like he does crazy stuff and he gets away with it, you know. Like this guy's a murderer, man. I'm pretty good at judo, by the way, too. Judo. Like a lot of guys can't throw me with the gi on. They can't throw me. He throws me, threw me on my neck a few times, on my head a few times. There's only about 2 guys in that gym that could throw me, like throw you, head down, legs up. He's one of the guys.
Well, my judo coach coming up was, of course, my sensei Nardu, but he also used to bring in Harry and Gary St. Ledger to the gym all the time.
Those guys could throw me. Those guys could throw me.
I mean, to get those guys, to get some of their knowledge in me so early on, and this was before Harry moved out to Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Right.
Like, I'll never forget the lessons. And even though I only know so little about judo, I'm not like competent. The little bit that I know is enough to keep me a big head start against anybody who doesn't train.
Hell yeah. Judo, man, judo's awesome. You know, judo.
I had Travis Stevens and Jimmy Pedro on this podcast. And
I saw the Travis one. I saw I saw the quotes from the Travis one.
Yeah, Travis dropped a quote that was so powerful to me. It literally shook me to my core. And you said something at the beginning of this podcast about the people you were hanging out with when you started to go into jiu-jitsu. And Travis said he doesn't even know someone who would make the mistake of calling him to go out, because he was so laser focused on his goals and his dreams to become an Olympian and an Olympic medalist and champion that he doesn't even have friends who would be so foolish as to, be like, let's go out on Friday.
He has friends, but they're all judo guys and jiu-jitsu guys.
They know that he's not going to have a drink. They know he's not going to be the party guy.
Right.
And, like that was one of the reasons I started this project. Is like I wanted to say, okay, well, I'm this business guy, and then I have this secondary life where I do jiu-jitsu, and they don't talk to each other at all.
Right.
I'm gonna go and I'm gonna bring my worlds together. And I want to go talk to people who are in business and jiu-jitsu.
Believe me, man, they talk more than you think they talk.
Yeah.
Business world and the jiu-jitsu world, they talk. Like I see a lot of the guys that I know from Brazil. They started jiu-jitsu way before me. I don't know, when did you start jiu-jitsu?
2009.
How old were you then?
24.
24. Well, I started about the same time. I started about, I think, 21 or 22 I started, okay? But these guys started 4 years old, 5 years old, they started jiu-jitsu. They ran its course. They're like high-level black belts. Most of the guys are like, you look at their Instagram profiles, they're like 3-4-time world champions in the color belts, and they won things like, they're, like state championships or whatever in jiu-jitsu. But now they're really doing well. Like I have a few friends that are in like big investments, in like a Brazilian investment. Forgot what the company's called, but they're doing really well with that. I have another guy that's doing agriculture in Brazil, and these guys are all jiu-jitsu guys, and like it's it's the same work ethic, the same mentality, like the same things apply, and it translates really, really well into the business world.
Yeah,
it translates well into the success world. Success is not just for most people, it's not just given. And even if it's given, doesn't mean it can't be taken away, and doesn't mean that it has to, can be neglected. It can be something that's given for a short time, and then it's done. You got it taken away from you, and you don't want to take it. You don't want to have it taken away from you. That means you're gonna have to fight. Have to fight to keep it. And what jiu-jitsu does, it kind of like grounds you and mental focuses you in, and makes you really, really, really on top of your stuff and really obsessed over perfection, like perfection of, just like execution, perfect execution. Everyone knows, you show me a white belt that's been training like 6 months. He knows how to do an armbar too, but he doesn't know how to do it as efficiently as the black belt or the brown belt,
Okay.
So it's the execution, that little split second of gap or space that you lose the armbar, and all of a sudden the white belt, you got out of the armbar. The brown belt, you're still stuck. You've got to fight more. And then all of a sudden you got out of the armbar because you're a black belt. That's what's supposed to happen. That's the, the hierarchy that I was telling you about.
Okay.
It's a beautiful thing, man. It's a beautiful thing. Love it. Won't give it up for the world, man. we are so blessed, like that we somehow, which way we got in there and we found it. And I've met so many people, good people from there, and we connect just like even on a, money wise, again, yeah, you could be here, he could be there, opposite ends, you could be different religion, but just because you have jiu-jitsu, you connect automatically. And most of my good clients are from jiu-jitsu, like good customers.
Yeah.
They trust me, they trust my judgment, they trust my opinion. Like, I don't know if you know Ali Abdelaziz.
I mean, only by reputation.
Yeah, Ali's a super manager right now. But before Ali was a super manager, Ali was, was a judo guy that I knew from another friend of mine who was on the Olympic training team with him. And they introduced me to Ali. And Ali was started training at Renzo's. He was in Albuquerque with Greg Jackson. He came over to Renzo's to start training. He's like, I got a fight coming up. You want to help me train? I'm like, you got a fight coming up? All of a sudden, you got a fight coming up? Like, how does this happen? Yeah, I got a K1 Heroes fight coming up. Back then, K1 was doing MMA. So I have a K1 Heroes fight coming up. You want to come help me train? I say, sure, yeah. Where are you doing your Muay Thai training? I'm like, I'm doing it at Phil Nurse's The What? I don't know if you know that, Jim.
Of course.
Yeah. Phil Nurse's, man.
He was GSP's Muay Thai coach.
Ask him who sent GSP to him. GSP was at Renzo's. He was a purple belt. Came from Canada with some big guy. Forgot his name. He fought MMA too. Real nice guy too. Like huge, super heavyweight, big. So GSP came. I was a blue belt. He was a purple belt. Me and him were in the locker room. He's like, George's like, hey, you guys know where to train Muay Thai over here in New York? I'm like, the best coach in New York is my coach, Phil Nurse. He's like, where is that? I'm on Canal Street, like a block off Canal Street. He's like, what's the gym called? I'm like, The What? I come there the next day. I see him in the locker room. I'm like, hey, you actually listened? It's like, oh, okay, cool. Then GSP brought Rashad Evans and, to fill Rashad Evans, and he brought, Frankie Edgar ended up there. So I brought Ali over there, and Ali fought his couple of fights in MMA, and Ali went into managing. And Ali actually gives me a lot of clients as far as like the jewelry business. Like, man, I only trust Arthur. Go to Arthur. That's it. You want something jewelry? Go to Arthur. And, we figure it out. I've done stuff for Cody Garbrandt. I've done stuff for Abu and Atman, our two brothers from Morocco. They fight. They're also signed to Ali. Done stuff for other guys too, like a bunch of other guys, and that's all the Renzo Gracie team, Renzo Gracie connection.
Yeah.
We get guys from Sarah's gym, we get guys from Dante Rivera's gym, from Ricardo Almeida, from Mark Henry, the whole, the whole thing, Florida, Vegas, California. We got the Gracie Baja guys in California. In Texas, we got Draculino and Gracie Baja. So it's like from all over. From Brazil, we got guys everywhere. It's a big, big, big networking. It's like, it's an amazing thing. And automatically you have a sense of trust in the people that you're associated with. I'm not saying that you trust them 100%, but you'll automatically, they'll, everyone's got walls set up, especially in New York, right? Everyone's walking around angry, always, looking at you like, what do you want from them? You say hello to somebody, they'll think you're crazy, in New York. But, with jiu-jitsu, one of the walls came down. At least one. Your foot is in the door, at least,
How did you bring your business into that gym originally? Was it Renzo right from the beginning? Like he supported you and he sent everyone to you and that was it?
So initially when I was working, I brought him to the places that I was working in, and he always had a huge interest in watches. He's always been, if you ever look at Renzo's pictures, he was always wearing a watch, always wearing a watch. So me and him would like sit down and talk watches all the time. Sit down, talk watches. Oh, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Did you see this? Did you see that? And then when I told him I opened up my own little shop, he's like, I'll come. I'm like, people tell you they'll come. sometimes they don't come. Usually, most of the time they don't come, right?
Yeah.
So all of a sudden he's like, he texts me, motherfucker, where are you? Like, what? I'm like, I'm here, come. I give him my address. He's like, oh, this is you? This is nice. Looks around. Like, how much is that one? I'm like, I don't remember what I said, whatever it was. I'm like, just take it, like whatever, $3,000 or $2,000, whatever it was. He's like, okay, pays me. Okay. Oh, you like this? You wore it? You like this? You really like this? Yeah, I like it. Boom. Goes to the gym, tells, shows all the guys in the gym, like, hey, listen, I got this watch from him. Like, oh, yeah, you got this watch? What, you do watches? I didn't know you do watches. Yeah, I do watches. Yeah, okay, woo. All of a sudden, we got everyone coming through, calling me, asking me, can you get this? Do you have that? Blah, blah, blah. I try to take care of all the guys, try to take care of everybody. I try to give them, even if you're not buying it from me, I try to give you, the actual price that you should be paying. Like, I have a lot of guys, like, I was supposed to be buying a watch from one friend who was a customer, became a friend, right? And then he goes, listen, I'm going to sell it to my other friend. He really wants the watch. I said, sure, man, go ahead, sell it. Like, if he's going to wear it, I'm not wearing it. I'm trying to make a couple of bucks on it and move it, But if he's going to wear it, he's going to be happy with it, Sell it to him. I don't mind, Like, I'll tell you exactly what you should be getting or, what you should be asking. Because a lot of times, like, you lose friends over stuff that you sell,
Yeah.
I sold something to somebody a long, long time ago, way before I got into this. And we're not friends anymore, because, he didn't pay me. I sold it. He was supposed to pay me. He never paid me, and that's what happens, So just be careful with that part and be careful with other, with that. But otherwise, if you sell to me or you sell to them or you buy from me or you buy from them, I don't care. I just want to guide you, give you my 2 cents and keep it moving, Thank God, I got, whatever's going to come my way is going to come my way. You can't mess around with the stars. The stars are aligned a certain way for certain people, That's what I believe in.
That's the bank account of life. And you've done that so remarkably well. That's why Renzo supports you. That's why Gordon supports you. That's why these athletes and celebrities come by. And one of the things I'm going to write about in this book, and I advise to young entrepreneurs who are just starting out, they're looking for that moment where Renzo comes in. And so many things have to go right in order for that to happen. But you have to do right by them. Otherwise, you're never going to get the kind of success that you've had. You're never going to figure it out. You're never going to have all these people repeating the business, coming back to you over and over and over again, referring their friends, Ali sending guys in. People, they want to know what that secret sauce is. You've described it today so beautifully in all of your stories. You've given them the knowledge now. Like all these young guys that are going to watch this in the gym, they're finishing college or they got some job and they want to start a business. These are the guys that come to me all the time. That's what inspired me to write my first book and inspiring me to write this book. It's like they want to know, how did you get so successful? How did you get that watch? How did you make the relationship? How did you get on the phone with Arthur? And
Jordan, in my mind, I'm still not successful.
You're successful. In
my mind, I'm still not successful. In my mind, I'm nowhere.
You're fighting for it.
I'm still fighting for it every day. Every day. I was here Saturday. I didn't have to come in on Saturday. I could have been off with my family and this and that. I had a couple of clients call me up, say, I want to come Saturday. I came in on Saturday. That's just the mindset that I have. Like I watch a lot of like these guys that are, I think, really big, like Elon Musk and stuff like that, right? Elon Musk sells his first company for like $150 million, right? The next day he's back at work, like nothing happened, like he's working on his next idea. He's trying to do something else, trying to do something bigger. Most guys, $150 million, they'd be like, man, that's enough. I'm moving to wherever I'm moving to. Leave me the hell alone. I don't want to talk to anyone. I don't want to know nobody. I don't want to be, I'm changing my phone number. No, not that, just, what's coming? What's next? He's
going to be the richest guy in the world. And what most people don't know about Elon Musk is how many times he's been on the brink of losing everything. A year ago,
most of these guys,
he said that his stock was going to be worth $420 and the SEC came after him. I mean, look what it's worth today.
I know. And I owned it a while back. Well, I still own some, but I owned a lot a while back. And the thing is, I didn't understand what the actual company is about, right? So in my mind, Tesla was a car company. It's not a car company. It's a technology company. Okay, they're offering you technology. Okay, so that's why when you look at, in my mind, how can this car company, right? I was thinking about it. How can this car company be worth more than Ford and Toyota and this and this and that and that? Like, how the heck? You know, tomorrow BMW is going to come out with their own batteries, and they're going to make, you know, Tesla is going to go down, and we're going to lose a ton of money. That's what my thinking was. But I was wrong in that thinking, because I was thinking that Tesla is a car company. It's not a car company. It's a technology company. They're offering you, you know, other things. They're going to bring forth other things like the self-driving, the trucking, and all that other stuff that he's developing. You know, that's why the stock is so much. That's where their you know, evaluation is so high, is because of that, not because it's a car company. You know, everyone makes cars. Nobody has the evaluation that Elon Musk and Tesla do. You know.
Beautifully said. Arthur, where can people find you?
Right now, for now, I'm at 578 Fifth Avenue, and that's where the shop is. 578 Fifth Avenue, ground level. You'll see all my watches in the window. We're the only watch guys there. Yeah. Not only watches, I also do custom jewelry, custom made pieces, chains, bracelets, diamond work, and stuff like that. Yeah. And I do have an office upstairs where I usually am. Like, I have salespeople down there that take care of that stuff. If you want to see me personally, just hit me up on Instagram. I'll come down. I'll meet you. I'll greet you. We'll hang out, you know, talk some watches, talk some diamonds, whatever you want to do.
You inspired me to put my watch on for the first time.
Nice one.
The pandemic started.
Yeah, it's a good one. Good one.
And I hadn't worn this watch or anything fancy or showy because, you know, I was in deep hard work mode, you know, saving my businesses and making sure there was a business, and 100% of my employees are back, 100% of my rents are paid, 100% of my vendors are paid, everything's back. And today, when I put this watch back on,
you're back.
I felt back for the first time. You inspired me to put this on today. I so used to wearing a watch every day. It's hard for me to take it off. Like I wore my Apple Watch every day.
I like Apple Watches, just not, you know, for working out, it's good, just not for wearing, like, you know, like I like the real, like the essence of a watch is, like, for me, mechanics and all that stuff. Like that's the real, like a real watch for me. You know, I look at it, like, for me, it's a reminder of, like, how things work, you know, how things are, you know, interplaying with each other, and how life is, right? So everything has its part, you know, everything has a movable part. And, you know, it's not circuits, just circuits for me. I work out with an Apple Watch. I run with an Apple Watch, you know, check the heart rate and stuff like that. But, yeah, you know, but this is like a real watch for me. I don't consider an Apple Watch a real watch, you know, from a watch.
I don't think I do either. By the way, I don't think I do either. But I just didn't feel right, you know, walking around when I had all that work to do. Like you said, you know, I had felt like I didn't feel successful. I felt like I had to show up and win. And we've got 4 days left in this year, and we won. You know, I'm back, and everything is back on track. And it was just the most incredible grind. And it was 100% because jiu-jitsu. That's it. Right. Jiu-jitsu. Like, I worked my ass off and I got it.
Yeah, that's good to hear, man. That's good to hear. You know, I was gonna quit jiu-jitsu so many times. You don't understand. Especially, like, during my purple belt days. That's when I had my kids, you know, me and my wife had our kids and stuff like that. And it was really tough to go train. And, you know, Gracie told me, just come twice a week, bro. What are you doing? Just come twice a week. I'm like, bro, twice a week is, like, so hard for me to come, you know, like, I can't. So I would miss, like, weeks at a time. It took me from blue to purple, it took me like 5 years. I was thinking, man, I'm never going to get my black belt. Never. Yeah. You know? And then I'm like, man, you know, I really got to go get my black belt. I'm like, you know, my kids got a little older. They became a little more self-sufficient, you know, and then I started picking up on the training again, you know, training. I actually had my own academy in Queens. We were doing really well. And just, you know, kind of like with the Corona thing, you know, right before the Corona thing, we started losing a lot of, you know, people, and now it's pretty much dead. But I took my partnership out. But at one point, we had 115 students there.
Wow.
And the majority of the reason I didn't do it for the money, that thing, the school, I didn't open it for the money. We had it because I wanted to get some extra training in. And like I was there training an extra 2 days a week. And that's when my jiu-jitsu went, really good, from like, I think I was a brown belt at the time that I opened it. And that's when the jiu-jitsu went like really good because you're rolling every day. So I was training here in the city like 3-4 days. And on the weekends, I'm there pretty much, 2-3 hours. I got my kids running around everywhere, and then, put them to the side a little, get some training in. Again, they run around. I put them to the side. I get some training in. It's life is never, smooth. It's always going to have, the waves, and sometimes it hits a little, and you got to make sure you sustain the round. And, it's like that, For me, it's always been like that. I'm sure it'll continue to be like that, so
peaks and valleys.
Yeah, that's it. So right now, I'm just thanking God and thanking, everyone that, we have like a good clientele base that we're supported. We're definitely not doing the same numbers that we were pre-COVID, but the bills are paid. Like you said, the rent's paid, everything is good. We're not like actively growing and pursuing. We're just trying to maintain and trying to just like hold on to everything else. Like I have somebody I know, 4 restaurants, 60 plus employees shut down, closed, he's like, he goes to me and my brother, he's like, the worst part is I'll be okay. I'll be okay. I have some money. He moved to Colorado. That's where he's from originally. He's like, I'll be okay. I have some money, but I feel bad for the guys that were working for me. The line cooks, the waiters, the bartenders. He's like, those guys, man, they're not going to get anything. If they stay in New York, they're not going to get anything. And he was right because they shuttered them again right now. These poor guys, unless you have like an outdoor area, and who's coming to eat outdoors? It's like freezing outside. How do you sit outdoors? Like, where's the common sense, man? No common sense, man. Law school, like most of the law school LSAT thing is common sense. It's logic and reasoning. That's the biggest part of law, right? So Cuomo, and I don't know if de Blasio was before, for sure Cuomo's a lawyer. All right. So I don't know, where is this common sense, right? So you have all these businesses and, man, I was just driving to the city today. It was depressing.
Where do you live?
I live in Queens. Yeah, not too far from St. John's University, where I went to school. It's a good neighborhood, middle class neighborhood. Takes me about on an average day, takes me about 25 minutes to get to work, which is really easy. The commute's quick. I'm in the city. We're in the city most of the times anyway, so it's like I just drive home in and out. I don't have to schlep too much.
Is the academy open right now for visitors?
It is. You can come by, man. Come by.
Yeah,
I'm probably going tonight. I got my gi.
I'm very good at following up, so you can be sure that I will.
Come through. Just hit me up before you go, and we'll arrange, to meet up, and we can train. We can train, get some good training in. The academy's open.
This podcast started actually as we would train, and then we would record on the mat. All my first episodes.
Some of them were the people were kind of sweaty. Yeah, your hair.
Yeah, we were all sweaty and out of breath, and we just sat on the mat and then would have a conversation about business. And
that's awesome.
That's really how I envisioned it, and how I hope that I can get back to doing that. But this created something even more beautiful because I can train, I can record more, and I can meet more people this way. So
I think the academy, you got things going on in the background and this and that. Like this way you could just sit down and nobody's huffing and puffing after 5-6 rounds of hard training.
Yeah.
And
all right, Arthur. Pleasure. Listen, you dropped some absolute gems today, and you got stories for days. I hope we could do this again in the future, and I can't wait to train together, and I can't wait to come check out your shop.
Yeah, come through, man. Come through. I'm here, man. I'm here pretty much every day, man. Working away.
Yeah.
We're doing our thing. We're not slacking. So it's not because of lack of effort. I just, all these small business guys, they want to stay open, and it's not, they're not going to close down because of lack of effort. They're going to close down as because of these restrictions and these crazy rule sets that are put in for them. And then just all these obstacle courses. And like, I want these guys, man, Me and you both want these guys to succeed. We all want these guys to succeed, you know? Like, imagine your favorite restaurant, which is, I'm sure, like a family-owned place. Imagine it tomorrow not being there, you know? Like, it's sad. The same guy that fed you for 20, 30 years of your life and still wants to feed you, still wants to, you know, do it, but he can't because of all these things, you know?
Crazy.
Yeah.
Arthur, pleasure.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Talk to you soon. Really appreciate you.
See you, man.
All right. Have a good one.
Thanks, bro.